Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. I am back with part 2 of What If Isagi had a split personality. Quickly, I wanted to clear up this little thing that I saw a couple times in my comment section. Yes, I understand in technicality Isagi has a quote-unquote split personality, but that's more of just his ego coming out, if anything. As most of y'all know who have watched part 1, this is far different than just your ego coming out. It's way more to do with your emotions and more to do with different versions of Isagi in its entirety. So with that said, I hope y'all enjoy part 2, and let's get right into the what if. Let's get it. After some deliberation between his own team, they speak about what they should do next. They do need to make some sort of a plan. How are they going to defeat Team Y? I mean, they did a little bit of research and a little bit of studying on some film, but how do they want to approach whatever's to come? They begin speaking on this. They flat out try to more or less do their best to game plan for Team Y. But here's the issue. There's one person, or actually really a couple people on their team that are big question marks. But the big question mark really here is Isagi. Isagi isn't necessarily a consistent player. They realized this throughout that game. Sometimes he was super fast, sometimes he was super strong, sometimes he would pass amazingly as if he's some sort of crazy good facilitator, right? And they're not so sure exactly how to approach something with him. I mean, of course they want to game plan around him and game plan with him, but how does that even look? How does that game plan necessarily look in the long run? They do speak with him and ask him if he can somewhat control his emotions and have him output a certain way. And he kind of just shakes his head and he says no. He apologizes and he's really sorry about that he's gonna be like that, but it kind of just happens. They ask him why he doesn't really get this way outside of football though. He's such a chill person right now. There's really no strong emotions, even if they made him sad. And he says that it really only happens when he's on the football field, and that's really it. In which all of them are confused. It seems like football is a catalyst for him to get emotional in a way, but for those other personalities to come out. But the main one that they're thinking about, and the main one that they were most impressed with, was his anger personality. If you get him angry, he'll be extremely good. But that was so random. It took Bato more or less bumping into him over and over again and hurting him bad for him to get angry. So will that even happen again? Probably not. I mean, the team that they're going against isn't the biggest, isn't the strongest, so it kind of means that they're probably not going to get him mad necessarily. But one thing they can do is get him excited and also nervous, which would make him extremely fast. Now, with that said, that would allow him to be able to guard people really well, especially with his speed, maybe set up some passes or even distract the team with his speed. But the issue is, they know that he's not the best at scoring when he's excited. So the team tries to find out what they're going to do, or at least tries to find a way in terms of how to beat this team. But other than the fact that they can't really include Isagi, they decide that they're going to just play it by ear. They're going to try their best to coordinate and do their best to work as a team. And if it works out, it works out. So when they take on Team Y, it will be an interesting game. It starts with Isagi being the more excitedly nervous version of himself, a combination of two of his personalities. But as he feels this way, he has insane speed. So he tries to utilize this speed to the best of his ability. In terms of doing so, he begins to defend to the best of his ability. And immediately his speed would come into play. Because Nico would be looking for a pass to Okawa, a pass that would be soaring above everybody and it seems like it's unstoppable. But as no one is even around Okawa, as the ball is about to hit his foot, someone appears. Isagi would appear. It's as if out of nowhere he came from across the field to make the play. he would jump up into the air and header it toward one of the players on their team, and he would get a tap pass immediately after. He would go sprinting down the field looking for a pass of his own, and he could see that a lot of the defenders, as he crosses midfield, are kind of swarming to him now, which is perfect. Isagi looks for it and immediately would pass it to Bachira, seeing him wide open, and Bachira would do the quickest and most beautiful tap pass and immediately get the ball back to Isagi. Isagi though would dive toward the goal, but would not want to shoot it. He would feel that he's going to miss it, so he kind of looks for a pass himself, in which he would look to his right to see a wide open Kunigami, in which he would do a nice little simple pass, passing it to Kunigami and easily allowing him to score his own goal. Isagi is happy to see this, and joy would flow through him, which would make him both excited, joyful, but also nervous at the same time, which a combination of all of these emotions kind of pile up into one, making the rest of him a little bit better in terms of he's better at passing, better at shooting now, and so on. Don't get it wrong, he's not elite at shooting or basically scoring goals like he is when he's really angry. But with joy involved with his other emotions, it seems like those personalities are slowly but surely blending, allowing him to more or less want to score a lot better. But there's one thing with joy that is different than happiness in its entirety, is that it seems as if his dribbling gets that much better. Maybe it's joy, or maybe it's the involvement of Bachira and seeing how much he's in love with the game of football, but it seems as if his speed on top of his dribbling and on top of having a little better passing and shooting will make him a lethal combo. So as long as they keep his emotions in check from here on out, they're going to win this game relatively easily, in which that would be 100% the case. Isagi would make sure Okawa can't even get the ball at all. Nico would look for him, but it seems like Isagi's speed is just too much to deal with, and that is just the truth of it. Isagi's speed is way too much to deal with, at least right now. Isagi watches as all the passes go haywire, more or less, trying to overcompensate for what he needs to do, and Isagi would eventually steal the ball once again. And this time though, he's so fast and his dribbling is so good that his speed plus dribbling makes him an insane combo. Somebody that has crazy dribbling on top of the ability to run extremely fast makes it so that he's insane, absolutely insane. So when he's trying to facilitate or even get goals himself, it makes it extremely easy. And the more he scores and the more that his team scores, the more the joy stays and excitement stays, but soon the nervousness would go away, which isn't too big of a deal. It just makes him slightly more slow, but he's not as skittish as he normally is, which is perfect. They would eventually score multiple times, putting them up 5-0. Now being up 5-0, they're pretty comfortable in winning this match, in which it would eventually be over. The whistle would then eventually sound and the game would come to an end. Everybody would be excited, thinking that it seems as if Isagi is kind of able to utilize his own emotions in a way to help the team no matter what. So they really shouldn't build around him. They should just try to figure out what they're going to do to kind of support or at least influence him in a certain way. As long as they more or less are up in the score, Isagi himself will kind of make sure that they're always up in the score, which is kind of perfect in a way, because Isagi is so fast, so accurate, and he's just so and his dribbling is so good that individually he'll be just fine, which is perfect. With that said though, the game is over. The game is wrapped up and brought to an end, and Team Z would win 5-0, like I said. And they would all celebrate, be happy about their win, and so on and so forth. But there's a lot to be done, at least in the future, and a lot to be done very, very, very soon. Isagi knows this and the team knows this, but they celebrate for now as they prepare for their fight or their game against Team W. Isagi would be the forefront of preparing for this team. He would actually begin training more and more, believing that he needs to do this. Because if he does, maybe his emotions will actually ramp up those abilities, his skills, even more. Which is something that he's beginning to think really hard about. But still, he has everybody basically trained with him, and eventually it's time to take on Team W. But the night before, they do their due diligence, studying and learning and figuring things out. And those things to figure out are pretty simple. I mean, they have the Wanama twins. The Wanama twins are more or less a perfect duo, or at least to an extent are a perfect duo. A duo that feeds off each other over and over again, but with Isagi's speed and the defensive prowess of some of the players on their own team, maybe they can shut it down. I mean, they're not 100% sure, but they're going to need a lot out of everybody. And even Isagi knows this. Even speaking with Chiguri about this, saying that he knows that he has more in him and that he can do so much more. But of course, this would lead to a conversation about, well, his knee or his ACL tear, in which Isagi would begin crying like crazy, in which Chiguri would question that he thought that it only involved his emotions when it had to do with football. But then he would wipe his tears away, but tears would still flow down, and he would say that it does involve football. That's why he's feeling so sad. But Isagi would just kind of explain to Chiguri that he hopes that he finds peace with whatever he wants. If that means leaving football forever, or that means taking his chances and running on that knee once again. He hopes that he makes the right choice for whatever it is for him personally. As Isagi says this, he's crying his eyes out and he walks out. But as he walks out of the room, he kind of stops crying. His tears would go away and his normal self would then appear once again. And Chiguri would just think that this guy's a freak. I mean, this is just terrifying. He's never met someone like this. This is kind of scary in a million different ways. But still, not much could be said after that, and they would all go to sleep and wake up the next morning to take on Team W and the Wanama twins. The Wanama twins should be an issue, at least to an extent, but when they step on the field and they get ready to go, they are ready for whatever's to come. Their team starts with the ball, and Isagi would be leading the way. He would be very joyful right now and excited, so he still has these insane abilities at this moment. Everybody who's trying to guard him, it's extremely difficult. His dribbling is super good, maybe even close to the level of Bachira. So having two Bachiras on your team, let's just say that's not the easiest way to approach the game of football. I mean, flat out, it's going to be extremely difficult to cover two of them. And actually, Team Z kind of has their own little tandem. Him and Bachira, it's as if they're in perfect sync now. It's like they're perfectly moving together, and it seems like their dribbling just complements each other so much. And as this is happening, Bachira's dribbling is increasing tenfold. It's as if his ability to play the game of football with this beautiful enjoyment is increasing spectacularly. So it's impossible to really stop, eventually leading to a goal by Bachira himself, putting them up 1-0. Of course, this would lead to the Wanama twins trying to respond. And there's no betrayal here. They have won the first two games, and no one will want to betray their team at the end of the day. So they decide. So everyone plays defense the way they should be playing defense, and the Wanama twins try to score off the bat as well. But here's the issue: the Wanama twins don't take into account the fact that Isagi can play some defense too, and his speed would be able to keep up with the Wanama twins pretty well. And the Wanama twins would be frustrated by this, but at the same time know that if they just outlast him and they continue to pass the ball back and forth, that they will be able to get by him pretty easily and eventually. And this would be true. Isagi can't keep up on his own. He very hopes that eventually someone will come help him, someone fast, someone proactive, and out of nowhere, someone would come running. The Wanama twins wouldn't see him coming, and in a red flash, he would steal the ball from them, sprinting down the sidelines as he passes the ball quickly to Bachira, and as Bachira passes the ball up the field back to him. It's Chiguri. And Isagi smirks as he goes sprinting down the other sideline as fast as possible too, seeing how fast Chiguri currently is. He's impressed. He might be even faster than him. This is insane. The speed on this guy. He sprints down, and eventually he would get to the other side of where Chiguri is, and Chiguri would see him. Chiguri would look for a pass and pass it to Isagi, and they would shoot a goal, and it would be insane. Isagi would jump with joy, pointing at Chiguri, thinking that this is great, this is fantastic. He's running, and he's so fast. And Chiguri would smirk as he says that he's faster than him, and Isagi says that they'll see about that. He's gonna work on his speed, and he'll make sure that he's faster. And Isagi runs back to the mid-line as they get ready for the next strike of the Wanama twins. But the Wanama twins are completely stunned. They don't even know how to do anything now. How do they approach this? Nothing's working. Chiguri's speed is back. This other guy's as fast as him, if not the same speed. What are they supposed to do? They have no clue. How are they going to beat them? Nobody else is helping. And they begin turning on each other. Everybody turns on each other, and the Wanama twins try to find a way through, but there is no finding a way through. There is no way of doing it. There is no way of making it out of here. They are locked in with Team Z, and Team Z continues to get better. Isagi utilizing these emotions that he has, this enjoyment, this excitement, this nervousness, and now this determination that is making him grittier, stronger, and just even a little bit faster, which is insane. With some more team coordination, with some more, amazing plays by Team Z, it seems like the game is coming to a close, and it seems like the Wanama twins will fall short. With that being the end of the game, and with a couple more goals scored by both Kunigami and Bachira included, it's now over. The game is now set, and the team has now followed up to a record of 3-0, which makes them a lock for the next selection. But they still have one more game. A game against Team V, in which Team V has beaten every single team they've gone up against. So there is some questions about what they're capable of and what they could really do, in which, Team Z wants to see. In which Isagi would celebrate with his team, they would all be happy, they would have a good time, but eventually they would meet the person or the people that they're going to be going against. More specifically, they would meet someone by the name of Nagi, one by the name of Ryo, and one by the name of Zantetsu, in which, let's just say Isagi's not too fond of the guy by the name of Nagi. Nagi seemingly kind of doesn't care about football, seemingly acts as if he doesn't really care about the game at all, which definitely would rub Isagi the wrong way. He would tell him to take it back, that football is his love, and that he loves football to its death, and that he thinks it's amazing. The fact that he sits here in a place that has such crazy consequence if you lose, and he sits here saying that he doesn't care about football, that he thinks it's a bore, he thinks it's boring, and he thinks that it's tiring, is ridiculous to him, which would piss Isagi off. Isagi would be really, really mad as he walks away, and some of the other teammates pull him off as well. And Isagi says that he'll see them on the field, he's going to make them pay for that, in which everyone thinks that this is ridiculous. I mean, this is the last game, and on top of that, both of their teams are a lock for the next round. It doesn't even matter anymore, but Isagi wants it to matter. Isagi wants to make sure that they know what they did, what they said, and what it means to him, and what football means to him, in which that's exactly what he'll do. The next game would arrive. The next game against Team V and Nagi. Supposedly this guy is really good, but Isagi doesn't even care. He's locked in. He's completely locked in which Bachira kiddingly asks what version of himself are they getting today, in which Isagi looks at him and smirks. And as he smirks at this, Isagi would say that they'll get the one that they need, and the one that they really, really need. In which Bachira would feel chills go down his spine. It's as if Isagi has a small bit of insanity to his voice, But on top of that, he can feel the anger irradiating off of him. But with that said, there's also a stemming of excitement to smash this team into the ground. Isagi would just be waiting, standing there, and everybody just watches him. What is he going to do? Right when the ball kicks off, what is he going to do? Bachira would tap him the ball, and let's just say Isagi was ready to go. Bolting down through the middle, it seems like no one's able to even really put a hand on him. His strength is unimaginable, and his speed seemingly off the charts. But his small bit of insanity gives him dribbling just like Bachira. Joy did it as well, but insanity does it too. It seems like this dribbling though is different, so unorthodox to the point that it's so hard to read. Isagi would get picked up by Zantetsu, someone that is extremely fast, but he would get nutmegged instantly and get passed on by immediately. He would try to recover, but that recovering didn't even matter because Isagi would immediately see Chiguri running down the sideline. He would kick the ball to Chiguri as nobody is there to even stop him. Zantetsu realizes this, that the speed of Chiguri is an issue. I mean, he can't guard both Isagi and Chiguri at the same time. The speed of Chiguri and the speed of Isagi are so similar that it's becoming a serious problem down the field, eventually leading to a score by Chiguri himself. And that's perfect. Going up 1-0, and it seems that Isagi is the reason for it. There's no stopping him. But Nagi has a different way of thinking. Nagi believes that they can outscore them. Maybe they can just continue to score over and over again and eventually find their way through. But that is an underestimation on how good Team Z's defense has been, especially with Isagi on their side. Isagi would put a mark on Nagi. He would not let Nagi out of his sight. Complete lockdown, shut down. He has no way of getting around him. Isagi would jump with Nagi every time the ball goes up, and Nagi would try to control the ball, would try to grab it out of the sky, but it seems as if Isagi would be right there. His grittiness with his anger and determination to be better than him, his far out anger right now that he has seems to be putting him over the edge. But with that said, they begin to score and then score again. And then again, putting them up 3-0 or 3-0. But guess what? Nagi is evolving, getting better. So when the tap pass goes to Nagi from Reo and Isagi's guarding him, Nagi's utilizing his dribbling in a different way now. It seems like the prodigy has now found his spark. But Isagi refuses to let him move. He's still on him. Even when Nagi gets by him with some amazing movement, Isagi would be a pest, chasing him down and catching up as he slide tackles and takes away the ball. Zantetsu would come bolting across the field though and take the ball with his quickness, but just as he takes the ball from Isagi, Chiguri would come across, taking the ball as well. It's kind of just an overwhelming amount of speed being thrown around the area. Everything is going kind of haywire. This person's going this way, this person's going that way. Everything is going kind of insane. Absolutely insane. But Nagi would eventually recover a loose ball. Nagi recovers it and looks for a goal himself, an unorthodox one by the goal, and he's able to curve it around multiple people and score the first goal for his team. Even Isagi can tell that Nagi is evolving, getting better, and also just evolving at every single aspect of the game of football. But there's a smile coming across Nagi's face now. It seems like the idea that he didn't love football or didn't enjoy it, finding it boring or so on and so forth, seems to be slowly fading away. But nonetheless, Isagi's still going to follow through with what he said. He wants to crush them, and when he does it on his own, he'll be satisfied. He runs forward, dashing and darting and blitzing through many people, and eventually there would be a goal from so far away, a goal that nobody in their right mind could make, and with his left foot he would curve the ball around multiple people and score from about 35 to 40 meters out. It would be absolutely beautiful. a complete dart, a complete rocket missile coming out from nowhere. He scores the 4th goal of the game, or the 4th goal for his team. They are up by a good margin, and it seems like Team V is just going to fall behind at the end of the day. And Inagi would be adamant about him getting the ball once again, telling Reo to pass it to him now, but eventually the time would tick down, and eventually the game would be over. Nagi would be disappointed at the fact that he wasn't able to recover, wasn't able to get better and fast enough to the point that they could overcome whatever this hurdle is. But eventually, right after the game, he would approach Isagi, apologizing for what he said, saying that he's shown him a new version of football. A version of football that he never knew really existed. And he's happy. He says that he'll keep enjoying football throughout this, and he'll make sure to see him soon. And the game, of course, is over, so Isagi would shake his hand and say that he apologized for getting so angry. He just never met someone that had feelings like that toward football. He loves it so much. And Nagi apologizes once again, and they go their separate ways, or at least for now. The team of Isagi and many others, Team Z, would celebrate. They just did it. They went flawless. They went 4-0 in their brackets, and it was all because of the unorthodox version of Isagi that they were getting. Some version of him that is just pure excitement and also pure just unhingedness in a way. It's actually kind of insane, something that all of them just weren't expecting when they got into Blue Lock. But now that they have it, it's something truly amazing and something truly great. But it seems that the first selection is over and their team ended up on top. The celebration would ensue and they would be happy, but there is more to do and more to be said quicker than you could possibly imagine. For starters, well, Ego would speak to all of them. Ego would tell them that there's a couple things that he's not 100% been truthful about. For starters, he wasn't 100% truthful about the whole, well, you guys are all the worst and blah blah blah. Ego actually reveals that all the buildings at Blue Lock were labeled as Building 5, basically to get everybody to experience inferiority and make them feel as if they're the bottom of the barrel, because that is what matters, to more or less bring out the best in all of them. But now that the first selection is over, and now that they understand what the first selection was about, it was about understanding what a striker truly is. Now the second selection will be a series of individual challenges in 5 stages, in which only teams of 5 strikers will make it through to the end. But the first stage, in terms of the individual, will be after their kind of pure workouts and also rigorous training they have to go through. Isagi would go through that with everybody on his team, and he would feel that he's definitely stretching his body to limits he's never felt before. But eventually, after the training, it would finally be the very first stage of the second selection, in which it's a holographic Blue Lock man in terms of covering the goal, and he's going to have to take on Blue Lock Man and score 100 goals in 90 minutes. Isagi would easily clear this round. I mean, he would just try to channel whatever emotions he can, and he would just utilize those emotions to score, in which he would find new things about himself. He would find new things to more or less utilize in terms of his emotions. And this is amazing for him. He's getting better and better as they go along, and the combination of all these personalities that are merging together slowly but surely are making him an elite striker and an elite football player at the end of the day. So after Isagi clears the round and improves his shooting to a large extent, even without being angry, he then enters the second stage. But as he enters the second stage, he sees both Nagi and Reo among many other players. A message then appears, telling them all to form a team of 3, and once they do, they can proceed to the next stage. Moments later though, Bachiro would appear, immediately jumping on Isagi's back, saying that they're gonna have fun in this next stage, and he says that he'll join Isagi. Isagi agrees, and of course he would. I mean, he's found a good friend in Bachiro here, and And initially they were planning on waiting for Kunigami or Chigiri as their third member, in which Isagi thinks Chigiri would be an elite person to add just because the speed that both of them have. But someone else offers instead. Nagi would offer Isagi to join his team. But Isagi would be hesitant about this, saying that he's not going to leave Bachira, that he's loyal to Bachira, that of course they're going to be going head to head eventually, and eventually they're going to have to prove who's the better striker, but he's loyal to Bachira right now. Bachira has helped him through so much, he doesn't want to leave him now. In which Nagi hears this and can feel the sense of loyalty behind them, but at the same time, he feels that he either has to choose loyalty with Ryo, or he needs to choose his own evolution and learn what soccer is like with people like Bachira and, well, Isagi. So, a decision is made by Nagi. He looks at Ryo and apologizes and asks if he can join their team. Ryo would freak out, saying, "What is he talking about? They're supposed to win together. They're supposed to be together the entire time." But Nagi says that he needs to know what playing with Isagi feels like. That he's so different than everybody else. His mindset is so different. His abilities, his skill, it's as if they evolve on a whim and they change on a whim. He wants to know. He wants to truly know what it feels like to play with Isagi. In which that would be something that interests him heavily. Something that he's excited about. Something that would make him love soccer even more. And there's no arguing with Nagi. The decision is made, and the decision is final. It's going to be Isagi, Nagi, and Bachira going into the next selection, or the next round of the second selection. As they walk through the doors, though, they find a team. One team in that next selection, and it's a team consisting of Rin, Aru, and Tokumitsu. And it seems that there's the only ones there. Actually, the only ones entirely there. This would surprise everybody currently at this moment, but Isagi would sit there questioning himself. Do they want to take on these people, or should they wait for another team? But Bachira would look at him and say that he needs to make the choice. I mean, Isagi needs to know exactly what he wants from Blue Lock, and maybe taking on the best will give him that option. And Isagi would think, and deep down inside, it's a version of himself he's never felt before. A version of himself is yelling at him to take him on. And the one he's looking at is Rin Atoshi. He's staring at him. Rin not even moving, not even flinching, but deep down inside, a version of Isagi is screaming, "Fight him, take him on, beat him." And Isagi would stand there. "Yeah, that's what I'm going to do." He would point toward them and he would say that his team challenges them. And they would look at him and they would say that they accept the challenge, but don't go crying when they get beat terribly bad. Isagi would smirk, and he can feel this motivation, this anger, but this also weird confidence flowing within him. He's going to take on the best, and he's going to beat the best. That's exactly what he's going to do. Because to be the best, you need to beat the best. With that said, that is for the next part of What If Isagi Had a Split Personality, and that is for the finale of it. So if you enjoyed part 2, show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And I hope y'all continue to enjoy the series, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.